Hi. You're probably watching this video because you have recently, maybe just now, gotten your Florida exam results and they weren't favorable. And you didn't pass either one part or both parts of the exam. And that really is horrible, and I definitely get it, and I feel badly for anyone that doesn't pass, and I'm sorry that that's happened to you. That's the bad news, and it's obvious bad news. But I also know something else just by virtue of the fact that you're watching this video right now, and that is that you're not someone who's inclined to quit or give up. You're trying to figure out what to do next and what you can do and what you need to do. And that's a really positive sign, and it's a good thing. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jackson Mumey. I'm the owner of Celebration Bar Review. Along with my wife Sarah and our staff, we've been helping Florida bar takers since 1994. And during that time, we've had a cumulative pass rate of over 90%, in some exams as high as 95%. We don't work with many students, typically about 25 per exam, and it's pretty intense and personalized service. Many of the students that we work with are people who failed the exam previously, and you can see some of their stories and some information about how they felt about the course both on our website at celebrationbarreview.com and on our Facebook page, and I encourage you to do that. But let me talk about what I think you might want to consider right now as you're looking at your exam scores. One of the most difficult things to do at this point is to take a step back and have an objective view of what you're doing. And so I'd like to offer you the opportunity to contact me. There'll be a method here to set up an appointment to go over your exam and your scores. No charge and no obligation. It's just an opportunity to have an objective set of eyes. Somebody that's a little more experienced and frankly even knows how to read the score sheet in Florida, which is fairly confusing. But I'm glad to do that with you. In addition to that, I think that one of the things that you want to do is get back into your studies right away. One of the nice things about Florida is that results come out relatively early in the season, which means that there's still plenty of time to study for the next bar exam, and you should be studying for the next exam as soon as possible. I know it's hard emotionally to even think about opening a book or starting to study again, but it's actually to your advantage if you can get right back in. So I would really encourage you to not wait very long before you make a decision and re-enroll for the exam and or for a course. What about a course? Should you stay with the course you were in before? You know, in general, I would say that if you were in one of the large courses, what I call the big box courses that are not very personalized, and you didn't pass the exam, those courses are really not built for repeat takers. That's not their primary pocket. It's not their happy place, if you will. And I would look very seriously, even though that might be at a reduced cost, I'd look very seriously at whether or not you want to do that. The reality is that to do the same thing you did before with the same level of support is more likely than not going to return the same result, and so that makes it a pretty poor choice. If you had more support and didn't pass, maybe you want to stay with what you're doing, but I would encourage you to look around and see if there are other approaches. Now, I will say that our approach to the exam is certainly different. I teach a different writing style, a style that's built more on making arguments than on memorizing and reciting. I use a style of learning that's built more on spaced repetition and learning over time than on cramming and memorization and recitation. Those things have worked very, very well for us, obviously, over the years, and we think that they represent sort of the pinnacle of what education is right now, rather than the old stand and deliver method, which is what most bar reviews do and have been doing really because that's the way the law was taught for so many years, not because it's necessarily the best way to learn. If you had difficulty with your essays in particular, I strongly encourage you to look for a course like ours that includes writing assistance and not try to figure it out based on the examiner's model or sample answers. They're almost indecipherable. They're not going to help you a great deal. And until you really learn to assess what's wrong with your writing and to correct that, it's such a big part of the exam, it's very difficult to pass. On the Florida multiple choice side of the exam, as you well know, those questions are very difficult, not because they're really great questions, they're really poorly drafted questions, I think, in many cases, but they are questions that are not amenable to just memorization, and so you have to learn the underlying principles more successfully probably than you did in a quick survey course in a 6-week course sitting in a classroom. The multi-state exam itself certainly is a challenge, and perhaps you passed Florida and failed multi-state, or your multi-state score was passing but not high enough to lift your Florida score. In any event, I think you probably want to get some advice about whether to resit for all of the parts of the exam, or maybe just take the part you failed, and I'm glad to offer you that advice and consultation. But if you are retaking the multi-state exam, I would say that one of the real key important things to do here is not so much to just practice questions, or just to read, or just to do outlines, or to make flashcards, or any of the many gimmicky things that are out there. I think it's really a process of learning to integrate that material, to understand how the questions and the exam is made up, and to work systematically through that material using a study guide and some direct assistance and guidance and approach. And that's what we offer in our course. So in essence, what I'm saying is that I think that there are alternatives, and as discouraged as you might feel today, I don't want you to give up hope. I've worked with people that have failed this exam 8, 9, 10 times before they came to me, and they passed. I've worked with people for whom English was not their first language. Obviously in Florida, that's primarily people who are Hispanic speakers, and we've helped them pass. We've worked with Puerto Rican attorneys. We've worked with individuals who really struggled on the exam, and we found ways to get them through the test. It is manageable. It is a test that can be passed. So whether this is your first time taking and not passing, or you're a repeat taker multiple times, I really invite you to contact me. I'll be the person that answers the phone, and I'll be the person that talks with you. And I'm glad to do that, and I'd like to do that. And I'd like to see you have the success and the celebration that our students have had for so many years when they get their Florida bar results the next time around. Thanks for watching, and look forward to hearing from you soon.